My name is Ethan Carter. 3 weeks ago, my wife sat across from my own lawyer and signed my name on a document that would have handed her everything I own the moment I died. She didn't know my lawyer had known me for 18 years. She didn't know he'd notice her handwriting wasn't mine. And she definitely didn't know that by trying to steal my future, she was about to lose her own. This is the story of how I found out. 6 months ago, I would have told you my marriage was solid. 14 years with Rachel, 2 kids, a house in Ohio we'd paid off together. I ran a small logistics company. She managed the books for a dental practice downtown. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable, stable. I'd built a will years earlier, simple, clean. Everything split fairly. Half to Rachel, half held in trust for our kids until they turned 25. My lawyer, Daniel Reyes, drafted it himself. Daniel wasn't just an attorney. He was the best man at my wedding. I trusted 2 people completely in this world. Rachel was one of them, Daniel was the other. I never imagined I'd need to choose between them. If stories like this keep you up at night wondering what you'd do, hit subscribe, because this one gets worse. It started small. Rachel began taking calls in the garage. She'd go quiet when I walked into rooms. When I asked what was wrong, she'd say work, stress, the kids, her mother's health. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? Then one Tuesday, Daniel called me. Not a text. A call which was strange, because Daniel hated phone calls. "Ethan," he said, "can you come by the office? Just you." Something in his voice made my stomach drop. Daniel's office smelled like old paper and coffee, same as always. But he wasn't smiling. He slid a folder across the desk. "2 weeks ago," he said, "someone came in claiming to be you. Requested an amendment to your will. Full estate transfer to Rachel. No trust for the kids. Effective immediately upon your death." I laughed. I actually laughed, because it sounded insane. "I never came in here." "I know," Daniel said, "because I was in Chicago that week. My associate handled it. And whoever came in signed your name. But the handwriting was wrong. I've seen your signature 1,000 times, Ethan. This wasn't you." I asked the only question that mattered. "Who was it?" Daniel turned his laptop around. Security footage, grainy but unmistakable. Rachel. I didn't confront her that night. I couldn't. I kept telling myself there was an explanation. Maybe she was trying to protect the kids from something. Maybe someone forced her. But the questions kept multiplying. Why would she forge my signature instead of just asking me to update the will together? Why remove the trust, protecting our children entirely? That question was the one that wouldn't let me sleep. Before we go further, comment below the number 2 if you already think you know why she did it. I'll tell you if you're right by the end. Daniel advised me not to accuse her yet. "Get facts first," he said. "Forged documents are serious. You need evidence, not emotion." So I did something I never thought I'd do. I hired someone to look into my own wife. 3 days later, I had a name. Marcus Webb. A man Rachel had been messaging for 4 months. Not just messaging, meeting. Twice a week, at a motel off Route 9. And here's the part that turned my stomach. Marcus had a criminal record. Insurance fraud. 2 prior convictions. This wasn't an affair anymore. This was a plan. I waited until the kids were asleep. I put the folder on the kitchen table, the forged will, the photos, the motel receipts, and I asked her one question. "Were you going to wait for me to die? Or were you going to help that along?" Rachel didn't cry. She didn't deny it either. She just said, "You were never supposed to find out." That sentence told me everything. Not, "It's not what it looks like." Not, "I made a mistake." Just, "You weren't supposed to find out." She'd planned this. Marcus had convinced her that with the trust removed, she'd inherit everything outright. No restrictions. No waiting for the kids to turn 25. And with his fraud background, investigators later confirmed he'd done this kind of long con scheme before with someone else's husband 2 states away. I wasn't her husband. I was her exit plan. If you've made it this far, Smash that like button right now because what happens to Rachel next is the part nobody saw coming. Daniel didn't just catch the forgery, he built a case. Forging a legal document tied to a will isn't a marital dispute. It's a felony, fraud, attempted estate theft. Rachel was charged. Marcus was charged separately, and it turned out he was already under investigation in another state for the exact same scheme with a different family. The divorce was fast. The custody agreement was faster. No judge looks kindly on a parent who tried to forge away their children's inheritance. I kept the house. I kept the trust, restored exactly as I'd written it. And Rachel kept nothing except a criminal record and a man who stopped answering her calls the moment the charges became real. People ask me if I regret trusting her for 14 years. I don't. I regret nothing about loving my family the way I did. What I regret is almost signing away my children's future without ever knowing it happened. Daniel still handles my legal work. But now, he's more than my lawyer. He's the reason my kids will actually get what's theirs. If there's one thing I'd tell anyone watching this, check your documents, read every page. Because sometimes the person closest to you isn't planning your future. They're planning your absence from it. Which act shocked you the most? Drop it in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe because next week's story is even darker.